Turning off algorithms for kids could be a real win. The problem is most schools still do not have a plan for what comes next. The Kids Act just advanced out of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, and if it becomes law, social media platforms would be required to disable algorithmic recommendations for users under 18. The goal is straightforward: reduce the recommendation loops that keep young people scrolling through endless streams of content. On the surface, that sounds like progress, but it also reveals a gap inside schools that legislation cannot fix. Most district technology policies still do not mention algorithms at all. They talk about filtering websites, they talk about managing devices, they talk about blocking inappropriate content. What they rarely address is the system that actually determines what students see, how often they see it, and why certain content keeps returning to their feeds every day. A teenager opens a platform and the feed immediately begins adjusting to behavior. Watch time changes the next recommendation. Likes change the next recommendation. Even how long someone pauses on a video becomes a signal that shapes what appears next. These systems constantly study attention and respond to it. Students experience that environment every day, yet many schools have never explained how those systems work. If a student does not understand how recommendation engines influence what information appears, the student has very little ability to question the environment shaping their attention. This is the quiet part many leadership conversations still avoid. Some districts are watching legislation move forward and assuming the law will eventually define their response. But federal policy rarely works that way. Legislation establishes a floor. It defines the minimum standard companies must follow. By the time those policies appear, students have already been living inside the system for years. The districts that are further ahead have made a different decision. They are teaching students how algorithmic systems influence what information appears, how engagement signals shape recommendations, and why digital platforms are designed to capture attention over time. Students examine how these systems operate so they can recognize the pressures built into them. That kind of literacy does not require students to become programmers. It requires students to understand the systems shaping their information environment. Congress may succeed in limiting certain algorithmic practices for children that could reduce the pressure those systems place on young users, but legislation cannot replace education. If schools are serious about preparing students for the world they already inhabit, algorithmic literacy cannot remain an optional conversation. The law may slow the system down. Schools still have to teach students how the system works.